and immediately was successful. I told a parable in sports language, basketball. Immediately he comprehended, immediately we made a decision, and immediately things changed. 20 years, people. We are not bright. At least I'm not. Okay, so build a case, build a bridge. Now, we've talked a lot about what a case looks like. What does a bridge look like? Okay? So let's suppose your son came home with all Fs on his report card. I don't know whether you have a son.
What's your best guess at why there is all Fs? I know what he thinks is the issue.
The son?
Yeah. And
do you know what the issue is?
well, I want him to tell me what the best issue is, and I'm sure that put together with some of the things I may know about him, and discuss with him that, because I know that you can be, I know that you're a straight A student. Find out what his motivation is, what would be his motivation, and talk about that to bridge him over to.
In all the years of working with kids, I think the number one demon in the whole issue is the child does not make a decision what grades they want. So the parents and the teachers make decisions about the grades, and the child has to say, I'm going to be a B student. And if the child says that and strongly says that, they will be a B or an A student. What we're doing is we're making those decisions for the children, and I think this should begin in first grade. I think the child in first grade should begin to decide. And our tendency is to not tell them that.
No, there are other options. You don't just have to be a D student. You don't have to just do your work. You can actually work on excelling. You can actually reach a higher standard. What do you want to do? This is what's going to take to do.
All right, but would those be too many words?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it would be. It has to be very simple.
Right.
But to get them to own it.
We want them to be motivated. And if we're motivated and they're not, it's like beating your head against the wall. Right, yes.
So if a teenager comes home with those grades, and you know how defiant they can be, and they say, well, that's what I want to make. It's Fs.
Say, all right, that's fine.
So you go along with that.
Mm-hmm. If you want Fs, that's fine. I've got no problem with it.
It's hard to get all Fs. You have to actually work to get all Fs. The schools are set up to help kids succeed, so you have to work to get all Fs.
Well, that was just an example.
Yeah.
Even if one,
But when she said all Fs, I mean, that's a way you could say, wow, you worked really hard, and tell them, it's not easy to get all Fs. You're determined.
I see you've made your decision,
Yeah.
and you'll just have to live with, you'll have to live with it. Mm-hmm.
I think finding the motivation for a first grader could be that he wants a skateboard by such and such a time, or by Christmas or whatever. But by making that within his reach, so that he realizes that I can make an accomplishment and I can actually get rewarded for it. So he's learning his consequences, which are good if he wants to try and apply himself this way or that way. This is what he thinks needed to do it. Let them hear it. A lot of times they'll tell you more than
One
you
of the
know.
things in first grade, no one explains to the children how it works. The first grade teacher doesn't go over the report card early and say, this is what we're going to be doing with you this year. How many of you would like to really do well? And kind of show them, this is how it works. They don't know what a report card is. Yeah. They're supposed to take it home and show their parents. Well, that can be disastrous. Maybe they're... So getting that to happen at a young age produces somebody who can be a self-starter, can motivate themselves, can pull along. Without rewards. Uh-huh.
Well, a compliment.
Another problem I see, go ahead,
Betty, what
Bruce.
I was going to say is that, you know, that issue about consequences, it's so easy for us to say, well, you know, let them experience the consequences. And I think in general that's probably good, but I think it requires some wisdom to know and get a sense of whether they really have the information and maybe
Right.
even experience to know what the consequences might be, and how serious are they? Are we talking about AIDS? Are we talking about, you know, going out in the street and getting killed? You know what I'm saying? I think
Right, but
we-
but there's other ways you can handle it. You could have a special night when people came in and told their education story.
yeah, I'm with you.
I dropped out of school. This is what happened to me. You know, they need to hear it from somebody besides mom and dad.
Yeah,
They need material to make a
Right.
decision.
Exact, and that, you know, like you're saying, the teachers really talking to the kids ahead of time before the midterm exam comes about, you know, what can happen, what are the possibilities.
Right.
And I think that may be, you know, one of the big problems is that we
Right.
don't spend the time up front, whether it's relationships or children or whatever.
Right. Well, I don't think most people consider that a first grade child might want to make that decision in first grade. But I believe they can make that decision if they really know what's going on.
The goals always have to be clear.
Yes.
I would also say to that, that you're right. It's never. Sometimes it's not what the parents are saying. It's letting them see it on someone else. And one thing that I've learned now, never underestimate the power of the parents' friends,
Excellent.
because they can tell a story, could be the exact same one, and that kid will listen. There's no tension there. There's just they will listen, and you interact. Hopefully, you've got friends like that. If not, I suggest getting some.
Great teachers are motivational teachers. They can motivate any child to learn. I had a boy in the 7th grade math class who didn't show up for class most of the time and, of course, was flunking. And so I called his mother, and she just read the riot act about how bad the school was. And I said, well, nevertheless, I want your son in my class. And I called, and then he was there for a while, and then he was gone again. I called the mother a second time. Same conversation, almost identical. He was there for a while, then he didn't come again. I called her at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, and I said, I want your child in my class. It doesn't matter to me if he never attends another class in this school. I want him in my class. Straight A student from that point on. He got the most improved award from the junior high of 900 kids.
So if we talk like that to a child that brings home Fs, how can we apply that to a client? We could make that,
Excellent, excellent. Do you think it would work? Motivating them.
yes, motivating them.
I don't care if you've seen 15 counselors.
Yeah,
You're seeing me, and you're going to stick with it, and you're going to do what you
Right.
have to do to get well.
right,
That says I believe in you.
Yes, you are going to do it
yeah.
because I know you can do it.
So they make that decision and then they work
Boom,
towards
boom, boom,
that
boom, boom,
decision.
boom, and progress
Right.
is made.
Right,
Okay, and some of them have seen many counselors, and they come in with kind of a, now what's this counselor going to say? You know, they're kind of, so this is one scripture that I believe is essential. There's two that I think are life and death. Say yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no. And you've heard me say this over and over again.